All right, guys. So our final topic here is going to be our WandaVision episode 8 spoiler discussion, review, whatever you want to call it. We're not going to like play by play, but we're going to talk about just everything we liked about it, give some predictions of what we think is going to happen in the finale, etc., etc. So, firstly, um, off the top, I guess I'm just going to say like I liked this episode personally. I think you were saying that there's been a lot of chatter online where people didn't really think like they like, weren't liking it, didn't think it lived up to something, whatever. The only thing that I would say is like a lot of it was kind of predictable. But I mean, we're 8 episodes in at this point, so most of the kind of questions are being answered. So, like when we were 3, 4, 5 episodes in, it was still pretty much a mystery as to like what's going on. At this point, I mean, what do you expect? So I'm not really necessarily gonna consider it to be a detractor that I thought it was kind of some things were kind of predictable. I think if anything, the thing that's been crazy, has actually nothing to do with what's been in the show. It's about what has been, not in the show. Like the Pietro stuff, kind of the confirmation that it is just a random guy. Because I think I said on maybe last week or the week before that there's a chance that it really is Pietro, but Evan Peters' body is just some random body, and she like pulled the spirit out and put it in there. It wasn't 100% clear on what she called it a crystalline possession. So I don't know if that's what actually happened, what I theorized, like well, maybe it really is Pietro. Like the spirit's there inside of him, and then she's also manipulating him. I don't know if that's what was going on. But we found out it wasn't Pietro nevertheless, so it doesn't seem like it's either not Pietro, it's Pietro's spirit, it's not Fox Quicksilver. Like, I think that's
Mhm.
pretty much confirmed, so,
It
um
definitely felt like that was, I mean, because like you said, because all the circumstances around what exactly is going on with him are kind of iffy. Um, it doesn't, I can't say with 100% certainty, but it does seem like she was implying or saying that the Pietro that showed up was just a random person that she hex or that Agatha put a spell on to portray her brother, and so it doesn't have any connection to the Fox version Quicksilver, which I think I mentioned this last week. If that turns out to be the case, okay, fine, I'll deal with it. Um, but it seems like a awfully big. It seems like a troll on the part of the
100%.
MCU.
Mhm.
Like I'm not sure what the thinking is behind why you grab. I'll be really interested to hear Kevin Feige or whoever did the casting for the show. I hope somebody asked them why did you go out and get a character that had played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies to portray Quicksilver in your show when they didn't have any kind of connection. It didn't, involve that in any way. Was it just an homage to those movies that were you just like paying your respect? Like, hey, there have been X-Men movies and we liked some of them and like that's why or what? So because I really thought that there's no way you cast that same actor with fandom knowing exactly who that was and what his role was, um, and then not have that be part of the story. So we'll see.
Yeah, because that is the thing. It's to me, it does feel like a very cheap way of misdirecting your audience. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
like, it's like
Sure.
instead of just making it compelling narratively, you have to throw in some visual cue that's gonna confuse the audience. And, like, doing that is just kinda cheap in my opinion. Like, because it's like,
Yeah.
they could have had it be any random person come in and say like, if it was just me, I was cast to play fake Pietro, there'd be no speculation over it. No one would think X-Men was here, there'd be nothing. But his appearance brought so much along with it that it's kinda cheap in all honesty. Like, it was a real easy way. It's like bringing fricking Sir Patrick Stewart in. just to play a random bald guy as opposed to the famous Professor Xavier bald guy. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
it's just a kind of a I get it. It's a good troll like thing. It definitely worked, but it's just kind of cheap in my opinion. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm
Sure.
just calling it as it is. Like it's just a cheap way of throwing off the audience. Is what it is.
Yeah, it was kind of a yeah, okay. They were able to end the one episode on the little bit of cliffhanger of him showing up, like, "Oh my god, what does that mean?" Or, whatever. And
Mhm.
ultimately, it means nothing. It was fake hype. It was fake, excitement, and it was done simply because of the coincidence that there happened to be two different
Yeah.
actors to play Quicksilver at one point.
Yeah. Like they
So,
literally put it in there just
that
because they knew the implications that, like, it would cause us to think. Like, they knew it. So that's why they did
yeah,
it. And it's like when there's no payoff with that in any way, like, not any sort of reference as
yeah,
to why he looks like that and, like, not that it has to be the Fox Quicksilver or anything, but it's just like, again, it's just kinda cheap. Like, 'cause they 100% knew exactly what we would think when fricking Evan Peters comes in to play
mhm,
Quicksilver. There's no way around it. You all knew that. Everyone knew
mhm,
how that was gonna go. So, again, doesn't make me hate the show or
yeah.
anything. It's just kinda cheap because it seems like it is just literally going nowhere, so kinda lame.
And yeah, I was just gonna say, that being said, if that is the worst thing I have to say about this show, then I'm at this point it is. Everything else I have to say about the show virtually is glowing. So I cannot like the show anymore at this point. I loved this particular episode. I thought it was phenomenal. Um,
There's some
it
great
gave
scenes.
us or some just yet again, like what was Darcy's comment to Agent Woo? I'm invested. Like
Yeah, right, yeah.
I'm so invested in this show and these characters, and like that scene where Vision sits down right after she's lost her brother, and she's gone through this heartache of losing her family and then losing the only person, and he talks to her about grief and how uh, you know isn't that what love is? Like, isn't that proof that love still exists? Because what is grief if not love persisting? Like, just
It's deep.
rip your heart out. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I was floored by that and like just gutted me when I saw it. And I love that scene so much. And then you see how she, later on we see her go to retrieve Vision's body, and he's all in pieces, and he is just this pile of mechanical metal and wires
Mhm.
and whatever. Um, but yet in that scene, you can see how he is very human. And you can see how she fell in love with him and stuff. And just the way this episode kind of bounced back and forth between that, the way it gave us backstory into Wanda, why it's happening as a sitcom, just everything about it I thought was excellent. Done excellently. We ended the last episode. I'm sorry, I'm taking up all the talking time. I'm going on a tangent here, but we ended the last episode with it was Agatha all along and the catchy little
Mhm.
tune that came from that. But we find out this episode,
Mhm.
I was really worried after that because I was like, "Oh god, it's gonna just be a simple like person wanted revenge, and so she trapped Wanda in this thing." But we find out this episode it really hasn't been Agatha all along. Wanda was the one that initially created the hex and created this town, which is
Mhm.
what I really hoped that they were going to do. I don't want Wanda to come away from this. Not that I want Wanda to be a bad person or something, but I like the idea of exploring the fact that this woman had gone through so much. She had been beat down so much, lost so much. She reached this point where she just, even if it was unconscious, slipped in her power. She's so powerful. She created this other world.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that they didn't just duck out on that by saying, "Oh, it was just Agatha. Agatha created this. Agatha did everything. It was Agatha all along." It was
Yeah.
Agatha for a lot of things that have happened, but it wasn't Agatha all along.
Yeah, because they even point out that she was just there trying to get Wanda to show her, like, real face or whatever, to show her true self or whatever, however they described it. Like, she was just there kinda influencing situations so that Wanda would break character, essentially, and because she
Yeah,
wanted to know, like, how the hell she was doing it,
Yeah,
from
it
one
was
witch to
Wanda's
another. Like,
yeah, it was Wanda's explosion of power that created this thing that drew Agatha there.
exactly. So, which was cool too, because we got the backstory to Agatha at the beginning with the whole Salem thing. So we got that. Before I forget too, the other like line that I really liked when you mentioned that she goes to Sword and like sees Vision and everything. For one, Tyler Hayward was actually being like really cool with her. I thought like he
Yeah,
wasn't being a dick. He was like, you can go see him, like, I'm sorry." He said, like, he was happy to, like, nice to, like, finally meet her. Like, he seemed very genuinely like a nice person. Like, condolences, didn't sick all his dogs on her when she broke the glass and went down there and stuff. However, he did make it out to, to us after the hex has been created. He lied to everybody and said that she stole Vision.
exactly.
He did not She did not do that, as you saw in there,
Yeah.
so he is still a dick. However, he was not being one then, like, he was actually I felt like he was being, like, a good person, like, there.
He was trying to give her some what little closure he could
Yeah,
given his position. Yeah.
yeah, and then, but she goes up to him and is like when she says, like, "I can't feel you," and it calls back to
Oh,
Infinity War, and
yeah.
then like, when they're in Ireland doing their thing. They say they mention that there, but then when she has to kill him, Vision says that to her, and, he says it's like, "I just
All I
feel
can feel
you."
is you.
Yeah, then
Yep.
she dies. Like, then he dies again after that, so, hopefully, it doesn't like, if that has to happen again, this show could still end very badly. Like, you know what I mean? In a lot of because that's the
Oh
one thing
god.
that's kinda weird. We have, I was gonna bring this up before, but it made more sense to wait till now with the Spider-Man No Way Home thing. All right, we all like because kind of like I said, like what I've found like one of the more interesting things about this show and this episode in particular was just how much stuff we thought the show meant when it really doesn't. Like multiverse stuff doesn't actually seem to be on the table. Doesn't seem to be a thing at all. Even though they had that commercial for the Nexus of all realities, what we think was for the Nexus of all realities, they mentioned the Nexus, so we assume like they didn't go into that anymore at all. They didn't go into whatever the hell is going on in Agatha's basement anymore at all. We don't know what the book is. Like this whole multiverse thing, we all assume because this is connected with Spider-Man and Loki and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness that like this was gonna be like the big multiverse thing, but it doesn't seem like it's doing that. Which is just kind of it's just another thing that is just kind of interesting because we have Spider-Man coming up next, but it just doesn't seem like it's actually gonna be as connected to this as we had initially kind of thought as the show was going on, which I just find kind of interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's weird. We
I
don't know
I'll say
still,
this.
but
Yeah, we do have one episode left,
mhm.
and I'm assuming that this next episode might even be a little longer than what this episode
I
was,
hope,
and
man.
this was the longest episode so far, because there are a lot of things to wrap up and kind of, you know, I I'm worried that people like not everybody, but I'm worried that people took Kevin Feige's like WandaVision leads directly into Doctor Strange. They took that a little too like you could theoretically stop watching, or you could splice the beginning of Doctor Strange in with the end of WandaVision. It would carry through like it was one story.
Right.
I think there are beats and threads that may carry over, and we'll have to see how obviously WandaVision wraps up and how where those are picked up in Doctor Strange. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot left on the table to figure out.
Well, I mean, oddly enough, we do know 100% that Wanda is in Doctor Strange too.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
there is some
definitely.
sort of she's literally there filming with them right now. She's in London filming it. So like we know that they're there. So, but like again, it's just interesting that it doesn't seem to be the obvious. Oh, well, this was the start of the multiverse then, and this is the mutants and all. Like it doesn't. That's not that. Doesn't seem to be that at all. There's one more episode, yeah, but I don't know. That's just one thing I thought was kind of like cool in a way, because like a part of me thought like it would be cool if that was indeed like the multiverse stuff and all that, but I was really more interested to my normal, or not my normal, but my original kind of theory was just that this was just all a broken woman who caused this all to happen. Maybe that ripped open something in the multiverse, fine, but like I just wanted it to be Wanda. Like I thought that
Mhm.
was a much better, like a Shakespearean tragedy kind of a story.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? I didn't want it to be like you said, Agatha
That
comes
guy.
in, is
Yeah.
manipulating everything, and Wanda's a good guy. You know, I didn't want it to be a clean cut thing. Like
Yeah.
that's not how the show was set up. So I was kind of relieved, but it is kind of more confusing because, like I said, we're supposed to have these connections, and it just seems that there's really not. It doesn't seem to be going the same way. There was a cool scene here though too with during this opening shot here with I believe this woman is supposed to be her mom, the one that like
Yes.
lasts till the end. She gets
Yeah,
like
the
this,
main one.
yeah, she gets like this crown thing on her head though. Did you notice that? And it kind of reminded me a little bit
Um,
of like Scarlet Witch's like
vaguely.
crown thing. You see it?
Vaguely. That yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention is that we don't know what the Scarlet Witch means. I mean,
We don't.
it was kind of Wanda's name in the but we don't know exactly, Agatha calls her the Scarlet Witch, and clearly that has some sort of implication in the MCU that it's a unique position. It's not just a code name that they came up with for her.
Yeah, they've
So,
created some
you know,
new
who
lore for sure.
yeah, who knows
Absolutely.
what kind of, maybe the Scarlet Witch is the bridge between multiverses or something in the MCU, and we just, haven't whatever. We haven't gotten that explanation. So I still think there's a lot left to come. But yeah, I no, I didn't. I completely missed the crown on her. I think I was trying to look for. I was actually the one thing I'll say is I was trying to figure out where Agatha was coming from in this scene because Agatha kind of it's a
Yeah, it was
really
weird.
cool performance, but it's also a little odd
It
because
was.
it feels like she's teetering between honest, like I don't know why you're doing this. Like, I don't really want to be this. At first, I'm thinking, oh, she's just playing up the innocent victim part of this. She can't control this power. But then there's also this tinge of like she's just playing them. Like she wants this power. She wants their power, and she knows that there's nothing they can do about it. And she's
Mhm.
just kind of playing a game with them. And I'm not even sure really after watching it where I come down on what her motivations were. I think
Nope.
she truly was just trying to go after the power, but she plays it very I mean, the actress, I can't remember the actress's name off the top of my head, but
Catherine
she
Hahn.
plays it thank you, Catherine Hahn. She plays it really well, really interestingly. Like it wasn't a straightforward like oh, yeah, she's just bad and evil and being an evil witch. It was an interesting
Well, that's
performance.
kinda even how it was when we go later on and she's doing the whole, um, God, like, It's a Wonderful Life with Wanda, right? When
Yeah,
she's going through and doing
definitely.
that, like, and then at the end, she calls Wanda, like, dangerous because like, she's like, "This is chaos magic, like, this is, dangerous. You're the Scarlet Witch," like, she seems like in a position where it's just like, "I need to stop you so you don't fuck shit up." Like, as opposed to
Mhm.
she's an evil person who wants to just steal her power. Didn't seem to be like that at all. Like, what I got from it was, like, she genuinely thinks her existence is dangerous, kinda like Charles thought about Wanda's existence and fricking the House of M stuff, like, maybe we should just kill her. That's kinda where she's coming from,
Yeah.
just like, this is weird, like so that's kind of interesting because it's like, okay, so it's like, is she really a bad guy? Because she in the comics, I know, obviously, this is MCU is always different from the comics, but they take inspiration from them. But Agatha was never really, like, a bad guy in the comics, so it doesn't seem like she's a bad guy here. So, I don't know, I just don't know where they're going with it because like, now we have the White Vision thing at the end, so it's like, is White Vision gonna come in, and then they're all gonna have to fight White Vision? Like, because obviously we still have Monica has her powers now, so she's obviously gonna help with this in some capacity. We have the fake Vision and Fietro. Like, is Fietro still gonna have powers? Like, Is he gonna be able to help in this fight? Like, who knows? Is freaking White Vision gonna be voiced by James Spader, so it's actually just like Ultron? You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what I was thinking. Because remember when we saw
Yeah.
James Spader listed as the voice of Ultron in WandaVision? I was like, well,
Oh,
this
yeah,
would be a
that's
good
right.
place to do it. Like,
Yeah.
if they were gonna do it, granted, you can't believe all the castings until you actually see the damn show. That could be completely fake news. Um, but you never know. It would be a good time to do it. It would make sense. I don't know. It's possible. But yeah, the crown thing here, because then you had later on that scene where that's another thing too with this when they go start doing the whole "It's a Wonderful Life" thing. They show her when she was a kid, and then the Stark bomb comes down, and it doesn't go off, and then Agatha's trying to piece together like how this all started, and like Agatha thinks that she has always been a witch rather, as opposed to her getting her powers from the Infinity Stone. It
Mhm.
was never actually confirmed whether or not that's the case. That's just what Agatha thinks. You know, because we know she got the powers from the stone, but they could easily retcon that to be like, well, no, she was a witch, because that's what it seems like they're kind of saying. Like because they even
And
make the
her
comment like she stopped the bomb, but she's like, no, I didn't stop the bomb. Like it just was a faulty bomb. Like whatever. So like,
and her powers
um,
were amplified by the
yeah, potentially right. Because in that scene,
okay.
you get she has that like hallucination of what looks like the silhouette of the Scarlet Witch. Like the OG costume coming down on her. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, yep. No, you're
Yeah,
right. I
it's
forgot
like
about
right
that scene.
around
Yep.
here. And like it's just a really quick thing. And like the
Yeah,
scene
it's
doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like outside of I mean, there's no context to it. We're not given any context. But it's just weird. Because then it kind of goes to the lore behind this Scarlet Witch thing in the MCU and how it's definitely a different thing than it was in the comics. Because in the comics, it was just her moniker, it was just her name. They're definitely making it
mhm.
out to be like the Scarlet Witch is like a rare occurrence in life, but it's a thing that's already existed at some point. Maybe
Mhm.
it's never been seen because you know it's like maybe she's like Anakin Skywalker, you know, she's chosen one kind of thing. Who knows? But yeah, you get this.
Sure.
See if we can get this shot here.
She looks right back, and then it was an interesting scene. It's also interesting
Yeah,
later on when they show the video of this that none of this was seen. She's the only one that experienced this.
yeah,
The observers there didn't see this. The video shows her just stand for there for a second, then just fall over.
yeah. It's like a
The
cut.
staff and the
Yeah,
Infinity Stone never move. Yeah.
yeah. Super weird. Because then it's like, okay, did she just hallucinate it? But if she did, why'd the camera cut? Like, you know what I mean? The feed stops, and
Mhm.
it's weird. And again, like maybe it has to go with whatever this new lore for the Scarlet Witch is. Like, I don't know. It was just interesting because you can tell that you know it's totally her in her like more classic looking costume. I'm wondering if she's gonna actually
Mhm.
be throwing this suit on, like now that she's gonna be
That's what
thrown
I was
down with
wondering. Yeah.
Agatha. You know, like maybe that's what we'll get out of it because we kind of got
I
the cheesy comic book, you know, like Halloween one.
Halloween. Yep.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're gonna give her like a new cool one and maybe have like a magic crown like her Agatha's mom did as opposed to like a
Yep.
solid one. Who knows? Who the hell knows? Could be cool
That'd be
if
cool.
done right. But yeah, other than that, I mean, like like again, like this was a great scene. I loved all this stuff. Really, it was some pretty emotional stuff. It was
Mhm.
good. But I'm just curious at this point though, what the hell they're gonna be doing with just wrapping it up, you know? Oh, yeah, and then, of
Yeah.
course, the whole the fricking letter that Vision left her, you know, for us to
Yep.
grow old in, and, like and then
Yep.
that's what breaks her right there, and it
The
was cool to
straw
see
that
her.
breaks the camel. Yeah.
Yep, and it was cool to see her go through Westview here, and then you see all the familiar faces of everybody, like, you
The
know,
landmarks and yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
The mailman guy was just like a pizza delivery guy just out there, so no, she's just I don't know, it was just funny. Little things like that.
Mrs. Hart is just some woman sitting at a coffee table. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It was good. And then we guess the next big thing, I guess, like the last I guess there were 2 big vision things, right? The one, we got confirmation that, like, she did just make him. Like, she didn't
She
steal him and
manifests, yeah.
reconstitute him or nothing, like, he just is, like, born from her energy in this
Mhm.
shot here. So, like, that's interesting. It makes you
Which
kinda wonder, like, how that's gonna what's gonna happen afterward, you know?
Sure, and it also makes it make a little more sense as to why he could not really make it out of the barrier. Like
Mhm.
he was it was almost like him leaving the barrier was almost like her extending her barrier, her magic further, yet she isn't able to really do it that well, so he was being actively sucked back in because he's part of, so that made more sense about why that scene played out that way.
Yeah.
Versus if she had just stolen his body and reanimated his body, then there would be less of a reason why it would be sucked back into the hex.
Well, and the other thing too, like, and I heard some people speculating about this, and like, I don't know, because she got her power from the Mind Stone, and that's where Vision had his life was from the Mind Stone. Her powers are red, but as she is like constructing this fake Vision, it's yellow energy coming out. Do you think like some people have been theorizing that like somehow it's like essence of the Mind Stone being used to kind of reconstitute him in some way. I don't know. I haven't really bought into it, but it's an interest. It is. I'll give you the fact that it's interesting that it's yellow for him, but I think it's just a visual cue because of the Mind
Yeah,
Stone. But
we talked about this in one of the earlier episodes of WandaVision. I just seriously doubt that they would dip back into the Infinity Gem well
mhm.
at this point. I mean, they just wrapped up a decade-long saga with the Infinity
Oh
Gems.
yeah,
I think at this point we're pretty settled on the fact that, Cap got them back to their rightful times and they're going to stay where they belong for a while. Now, we may see them come back in one day, but I just don't think the first thing out of the gate after Endgame is to have the gyms play a part in this anymore beyond what they have to to explain WandaVision's power or Wanda's powers and her interaction with the gym.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it'd be kind of like how the whole Pietro thing is just kind of a cheap way to throw everyone off. I think that, like, oh, it's the Infinity Stones again. Is just kind of it's
Yeah.
lazy more so than anything. It's like, really, we just got to do that again. Like we just did it. Like we just did it.
When and you can just start the clock on when Thanos comes back at
Yeah,
that point.
exactly. It's like is that coming back too? Like, come on, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Where do you see this kind of going then after this? Because there's really I I don't really know, because the only thing I can think of is, like, the obvious White Vision's gonna come in, and he's not gonna be good, right? Like, it's gonna be an Ultron situation, like, maybe he turns on Sword and everybody's gotta stop him, you know what I mean? We're obviously gonna have fake Vision versus it's technically real Vision, but White Vision, we'll just call him White Vision, so
Yeah.
that's
I
obviously gonna happen, but
I wonder if this isn't their way to bring Vision back. Like, I wonder if Wanda's gonna figure out some way to obviously, I think the big for lack of a better way to put it, the big fight is Wanda versus Agatha. Agatha is there to quote unquote stop Wanda, whether or not she actually is there to stop her or steal her power, who knows at this point. But I think that's the main battle. I wonder if this vision is sent in by Sword with the intent to put an end to Wanda, but Wanda is able to somehow take the vision that she has constituted and put him basically into the stone or into the head of this new vision and give him that physical body that can then live outside of the hex. That's kind of my guess as to, and I'm hoping it's not just a simple, good vision battles, bad vision, and Wanda battles Agatha, and Pietro battles
Monica.
why did I forget it? Monica. I'm hoping it's not just like three good guys versus bad guys fights. I'm hoping there's a little more to it. I think there will be.
I think what might end up happening too is instead of them being able to merge the visions, that's how they have to kill this white vision. Like just like Neo did to the agent Smith in the first Matrix movie, he jumps inside of him and then he blows up. I'm thinking Vision's gonna have to go inside of him and blow him up.
Sacrifice himself.
Yeah. So then we lose Vision again. And it's a way that they can make it like emotional again, but not be like kind of a retread
You
because, you know.
you would think at this point I'd be desensitized to seeing Vision get killed,
Right.
but nope, nope. If it happens again, it's gonna be awful, and I'm dreading it. So I hope you're just for the sake of my emotions, I hope you're wrong.
Yeah, I can't blame you. That'll be 4 times dead technically because he got 2 in Infinity War, and then in this, it would be
Yep.
White Vision dying and Fake Vision dying at the same time, so that's 4 Vision deaths. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of death. So, I think I could see that happening though, because that would I don't know, that because we know in Far From Home, Vision is confirmed dead, and that is 7 months after Endgame. This is, like, 3 weeks after
Oh, well,
Endgame.
hold on a second, though. We know that Marvel and their timelines don't always match up exactly well
That's
because there was
true.
what, a 5-year jump between, um oh, I can't even remember now. There was something about the first Spider-Man movie with the Battle of New York, and they said, like, 8 that's what it was. It was 8 years later, supposedly, but then, it didn't match up with the other timeline, so I'd
Yeah,
take all
they
those
had to
timelines
fix
with
it.
kind
Yeah,
of a
they had to
grain of
retcon
salt.
the
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
exactly.
So,
So
yeah.
I wouldn't I understand what you're saying, but I also think that they could easily come back and say, yeah, but really what it is
Yeah, but
this other
totally
thing."
it could totally be undone, and no one's gonna care about that. Most people don't even know that was mentioned in Far From Home. You know what I mean? Like, no one even
Yeah.
remembers it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I hope it is longer because I mean, that's my only gripe with the show really has been the length of the episodes. Like I could use a little bit longer episodes, especially the bigger ones, because every time you start to get into it, the credits roll. And then it's also so they have like 10 minutes worth of credits. So you look and see, you just like hit up on to see how far you're through, and you're like, oh cool, I got 12 more minutes left. Great. And then 2 minutes later, the show's over because of the 10 minutes of credits. Like, it's insane. So I really hope this one's a little bit longer because I feel like they do have a lot that need to kind of wrap up if they are going to have some tie-ins to, if the tie-ins to this, well, I guess we could say rumored tie-ins or rumored connections with the Loki and Doctor Strange and Spider-Man stuff, like if that's actually going to be a more interconnected kind of story, then I feel like they definitely have some setup they need to do for that because as it stands right now, I don't really see it being all that connected. Just for time's sake, you know what I mean? If we have another 30, 40-minute episode left, how are they gonna fit that in? Like, I feel like they got
Yeah.
enough to wrap up already without setup for something else, so I don't know. That's kinda the only thing I'm really hoping for.
Yeah.
Just a little bit longer, give us a nice I hope they stick the landing because I liked everything so far. I don't know if I guess we're gonna see Monica actually maybe use her powers and stuff a little bit. Like all they've shown her do was like be able to see the color spectrum in a different way. Haven't had her use any sort of like photon blast or whatever the hell they're gonna call her. I don't know if they're gonna call her spectrum or photon. I was assuming spectrum because of the all we've seen her do is see a different spectrum. But if she starts shooting photon blasts out, then maybe they'll call her photon. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, I've loved this series so much that can't wait to see what the end is. I'm also a little apprehensive about the ending because I was always under the impression that after this, like the following week, we get Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it looks like we're going to have a 2-week kind of dry spell there where we don't have any new MCU content. But I mean, we just made it through months and months and months without over a year without
Yeah.
new MCU content. So
Yep.
I shouldn't complain too much. But yeah, that's hopefully there'll be enough with the ending of WandaVision to kind of keep us, keep us thinking and analyzing and looking at and maybe we need 2 weeks from the end of WandaVision to recover before they jump into a new story with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
It's possible. Oh, we do get too. Don't the immediate following week we get that behind the scenes thing though for
Oh, you're
WandaVision.
right. I think we
So then
do.
there is
Yeah,
just one. I know
you're
that's
right.
not quite the same thing, but that is something. And so there's
Sure.
only going to be like a one week of nothing. So we still kind of I guess got to wait 2 weeks, but in a lot of ways because you have to wait till
And then
Friday.
we get
But
yeah, and then you get the overload because then you get Zack Snyder's Justice League, you get WandaVision, and there's
oh
something, and then
yeah,
King Kong and Godzilla. Oh my god. And
yeah,
that middle part of March, the mid to late part of March is just gonna you better block out all your social. I guess nobody's doing very many social interactions right now anyway, but clear your calendar for
yeah,
that
for
part of
sure.
March.
March and April they're gonna be popping off for genre movie fans
Yeah.
for sure. Got Falcon, Winter Soldier, Godzilla, Snyder Cut, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal
I'm
Kombat, yeah.
I'm probably missing something, but like that's four
I'm
things
sure we
right
are.
there. Like I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I just hope they stick the landing. So that's all I really have for it. I'm excited for. I'm standing by though. I am like I used to be more excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier, like of all the announced shows, right? But then the most recent Loki trailer they dropped that moved to the top of my list. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what it is about it, but I loved that trailer. So I'm obviously happy we're getting Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, don't get me wrong, but I'm really looking forward to the freaking Loki show now. So I don't know why the
Yeah.
trailers for Falcon and Winter Soldier haven't really blown me away. The Loki one really blew me away. I don't know. Maybe it's because I had like no
Agreed.
expectations for Loki and I had expectations for Falcon. I don't know. Regardless, John, we're gonna wrap this up. So where can all the good folks find you online, good sir? Unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
Because I don't think I said it. I just wanted to say one last thing about this particular episode of WandaVision. I really like the fact that we got back a more fleshed out backstory for Wanda. We have origin stories for a lot of the main Avengers, and Wanda just kind of showed up with Pietro, and her backstory was given through exposition. Um, so this was a cool way to actually flesh that out a little more, and so I really enjoyed the fact that we got that through this episode. But other than that, that's all I had to say about this. And people can find me over at the Twitters and the Instagrams at Nightwing_K. So drop in over there, say hey, let me know what you think about new comics that are coming out, what you think about my thoughts on the different stuff here, or you can drop comments in the video itself. And I will just throw out real quick, Rick, we missed you. Can't wait to get you back in studio here.
Yep, good deal. That's true. Rick, we got some COVID issues here, so Rick couldn't come into the studio. So we're trying to be safe here, obviously. So, well, Rick will be back next week. You can follow Rick. He's not here right now, but let's see what this. I don't know. I'm not going to pull it up because I got some shit set up back there. He's at Sir Rick Metz. Sir, it's RIKMETZ. Here, let me see what it is real quick. Let's see it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, good. It's
Pull
not
it
on
up.
right now. There he
Nice.
is. You can follow Rick right there, everybody. There it is. And you can follow me just simply at Sir Rob Bifo. And yeah, stay tuned. Again, we'll have I haven't decided which one yet, but it's either gonna be Commander Cody, Hot Toys Commander Cody, or Solo Darth Maul. One of the two. Review will be up on Wednesday. I got that coming. We should be streaming again next Friday, so come hang out and chill with us there. We'll also be talking that'll be the WandaVision finale day. So we'll be talking about that. So come hang out and do that with us. That's pretty much it. That's all I got. I don't really have anything else. So just like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And then until next time, guys. Take care.